Learn English through reading. Written and narrated by Andrea Buitoni. There are many ways to improve your English skills. Here on JellyFeel English, we believe that reading is one of the most powerful ways to do that. However, to get the most out of reading, there are a few important tips you should keep in mind. First of all, you don't need to understand every single word you read. Instead, you should focus on understanding the main ideas and messages of the text. This becomes even more important when reading longer texts, such as books. Think of it as a general rule. The longer the text, the less you need to understand every single word. That being said, there are moments when looking up a word can be helpful. If a specific word appears many times in the text and you still don't understand it, this word may be blocking your comprehension. In this case, it can be worth taking a moment to check a dictionary or an online translation tool. However, you should avoid interrupting your reading too often. One of the biggest benefits of reading is that it reinforces words you already know, as well as words you are beginning to understand. Every time you stop to translate or check a word, you break your focus. As a result, you read more slowly and process fewer words per minute. There is something that advanced learners understand, but that beginners and intermediate students sometimes avoid accepting. That truth is simple. Learning a language takes time and effort. The more time you spend with the language, the more natural it starts to feel. There is no magical way to learn English or any other language from one day to the next. Progress happens slowly, and that is completely normal. If you take only one thing from this lesson, remember this. Don't think of English only as a language you are learning. Instead, think of English as a language you already understand, even if not completely, and one that you can actively use in your daily life. Don't limit English to study time only. To truly master the language, it needs to become part of your routine and part of how you think. Use English. Don't just study English. From time to time, try to think in English when you wouldn't normally think in your native language. This small habit can make a big difference over time. Here is another quick tip. Let's talk about reading at different levels of difficulty. You don't have to stick to your level all the time. Instead, you should include reading materials from different levels in your routine. Easier texts are perfect for building flow and enjoying relaxed learning. This is where you can read without using too much mental energy. Whenever you feel tired, this is the kind of text you need, an easy text with words you already know. One good idea is to read a book you have already read in your native language, but now in English. Because you already know the story and the characters, reading becomes much easier. This type of reading is very important and very efficient. In fact, most of your reading should be at this easier level. Then we have what we call the right level for you. This is the level where you feel slightly challenged. In these texts, you can understand most of the idea and paragraphs, but you will find many words you don't fully understand. That's okay. You are allowed to ignore some words, as long as you try to guess their meaning from the context. Maybe you know a word is describing a character. Maybe you understand that it is an object found inside a box, even if you don't know exactly which object it is. Keep reading. Many times, the meaning of these words becomes clearer in later paragraphs. Be patient. At this level, You should feel comfortable not knowing everything. Finally, let's talk about reading at a difficult level. This is the level where the text feels heavy and challenging, and where you may need to use a dictionary or translation tool more often. This type of reading is slow and demanding, but it also has its value. Here, the goal is not flow or relaxation. The goal is to meet new words, understand your own limitations, and see what your next level is. This is the level you will feel comfortable with in the future. Sometimes you need to try difficult materials because they show you what you need to focus on. Longer paragraphs, deeper meaning, and more abstract ideas will push you to the next level. When reading difficult texts, it is essential to stop, reread sentences, and look up important words. However, this kind of reading should be done in short sessions because it requires a lot of concentration and mental energy. Think of difficult reading as a workout for your brain. You don't do it every day, and you don't do it for a long time. But when used carefully, it helps you grow and opens new paths for you. To wrap everything up, it can be helpful to think about your reading time in simple proportions. As a general guideline, consider spending about 60% of your reading time on easy texts. This is where you build flow, confidence, and enjoyment. Easy reading helps English feel natural and keeps you motivated. Then, spend around 35% of your time on texts at the right level. These are texts that challenge you a little, but still allow you to understand most of the ideas. This is where real learning happens through context, guessing meaning, and patience. Finally, spend only about 5% of your time on difficult texts. These texts are slow, demanding, and require dictionaries or translation tools. They are not meant to be comfortable, but they help you discover your weaknesses and prepare you for your next level. If you balance your reading this way, you avoid frustration, protect your energy, and still keep growing over time. Remember, progress in the language is not about doing the hardest thing every day. It's about consistency, exposure, and using the language regularly. Please select your next story.